we have voices from the past that tell us, that are like narrating our life. And I would say a lot of them aren't good. They're either old friends, could have been a father figure in your life, a coach, where you just feel their voice on certain actions you're doing. Like, why are you doing that? That's stupid. Why are you doing, like that? Those voices are in our head, and maybe it's our own internal voice, but we've heard, when we keep hearing that narrative, and it keeps us pulling away from others and not engaging. And learning to put those voices to bed and allowing that internal voice, your own voice, as well as the voice of really Jesus. That's why we need to read the Bible. We need God's voice to rise up in us, to be stronger, to speak over those voices. Hey guys, Cartwright here. Thanks for listening, watching wherever you are. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen or watch. We're so grateful that you've watched our podcast. But also, we want to answer your questions, so please send in your questions. Hit that link in the bio. So anyway, thanks for being here. Welcome to Mentorforged. Is that how we will start it? Bo Morgan, excited that you are here, man.
I love being here, man.
This is fun.
I'm still humbled you asked me to do this, really.
Really?
It's
Man,
fun.
I appreciate that. Yeah, man, you brought a lot of energy to this, energy to me, and this has been a blast. Appreciate all those who sent in questions. Well, that'll be coming out this coming Monday, that episode. So that'll be really fun. And I really appreciate you, some of y'all sending in some more, because
we got a few more, didn't we?
I think so.
Yeah.
But today I got something that's kind of just been burning on me the last couple of days, really thinking about in the context of men being forged, the forging process. And that is like men in their 20s and 30s, like, there's so much like luxuries we have that maybe previous generations that have, but overall, you really do think about it, what it means to be in your 20s right now, what is happening. And I just got some numbers for you, Bo, that I'd love to talk about.
Love numbers.
Love them numbers, some statistics. So this generation, and talking about men, early 20s to early 30s. So it's a little mix of Gen Z and millennials. So most medicated generation for anxiety and depression, right? We're talking about it more too.
Yep.
Most likely to, but despite are medicated, we're more likely to overdose, commit suicide, or be incarcerated. Millennial and Gen Zs are not dating, marrying, or procreating as much as previous generations. The portion of those who are never going to marry has doubled. We're most in debt. We have the highest cost of living, lowest home ownership for those in our 20s and 30s, right? And probably the big one that really kind of maybe sums it up all, that we are the most fatherless generation. Like, we want it at least, depending on, even you can break it up in different categories, but at least 1 in 4 men in their 20s and 30s right now grew up with an absent father. 1 in 4.
Is that U.S., the United States?
Yeah, the U.S., yeah. So just to start y'all off with some depressing.
Welcome to Mentorforged.
Welcome to Mentorforged. So as we've had the conversation early this morning, it's like something is, you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
It's happening to you, or or you're embracing it. You are being forged. Something in your life is hard. I guess the silver lining, I don't even want to say the silver lining, the redemptive part of it, the beautiful part of it is it's building, it's turning you, it's forging you into something that is what we all really want, is to be a man of integrity, a man who is valued and trusted in our community, that has wisdom to share, that is successful beyond just even the monetary. That's part of it, but that's right. I think that part, if we're willing to embrace that, and that's part of the reason why these statistics is we haven't really either been shown because we didn't have a father in the home, or there hasn't been enough intentionality of other men in our life giving us permission to really in our 20s go, oh, this is part of it. Yeah. This is it. This is the stuff. This pain, this tension, this frustration I'm feeling, that is what I need, and I need other men alongside me to help me do this, to walk this out. I think that's what I wish someone told me at 25.
Yeah.
I think definitely I played the victim card for sure of like everything was happening to me. It was always an outside in, like,
Mhm.
why I just need someone to give me a chance. I just need to catch a break. I just need, like that
Oh,
language.
yeah.
And how do you flip? And it's really, how do you change from behavior modifications to forging strong mindsets that really sustain you for your life? And you can only do that really in the hard. And so that's I feel like the episode today I really want to kind of get into of like, yeah, there's something to, okay, we're feeling it on all sides right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, and it could easily overwhelm us to the point of like, man, I quit. I know I've had that thought in my 20s, 30s, and now in my 40s of just like, I'm done. I can't do anymore. But there's something to that. So that thought, I don't want to sit here and dismiss if you're having that thought. But if you're having that thought, that's not the problem. It's okay. It's how you respond to then going, okay,
Mm.
what do I need? First of all, do I need some sleep? Do I need some food? Do I need to laugh, be with friends, my wife, kid, whatever? Like, I just need to have a day. But then too, okay, all right, how am I going to wake up the next day and ask for God's grace and wisdom and strength to then fill me to keep going,
Mhm.
to find that, all right, there's something that's being built in me. There's something that is really good that's coming from this. And if I try to avoid it, I'll only stay the same,
Yeah.
if not get worse. And that's the difference between men that we admire and are drawn to in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and the ones that we just kind of meh. The ones that we're drawn to are the ones that embraced this, that actually valued this, that actually saw this an opportunity to move, to become better men.
I guess my first thought is like, if you're listening to this, it's like, well, there's nothing new under the sun, right? So you think about like, well, what about guys in their 20s and 30s in the 1930s and 40s? And it was like, well, they went to war and they did all these things, but it still feels different today because of the fatherlessness
Yeah.
thing that you mentioned. Because the guys that back then, I think I'd be interested to know like what the percentage of fatherlessness was back then compared to now. I bet it's pretty drastically different.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I would say a lot. I think I saw it where the boomers. It was probably, yeah. It was not. It was like 1 in 6,
Yeah.
1 in 7. And some to those degrees, it was probably many boomers. The parents stayed together, even if it was harder, more difficult, and it wasn't a good situation.
So it's not necessarily like, or maybe this is more of a question. It's not so much saying, hey, guys have it harder now.
No.
It's just a different situation, right? So it's not separating, well, it was hard back then too. I could just
Yeah.
hear it, but
Yeah.
so that's not really the claim. The claim is it just looks totally different
Yeah.
now, right?
Right.
Um,
I mean, I will say from I think this is the big one that people keep coming up is from like a financial, like the cost of living was lower. There's a lot of numbers we could sit here and talk about the nuances between them.
right. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, yeah, there is I think a consistent story throughout men in their 20s and 30s, and maybe there's a different focus, there's a different value system. But at the end of the day, maybe we think about as millennials, oh, we're valuing more of the right things than our fathers did. They were more going to work 10 hours a day and grinding. That was their forging. Where millennial men are wanting to stay home more and, all that. But at the same time, we have a higher rate of suicide, more medicated. We're dealing with, suicide and depression more. Granted, they are keeping those statistics more because more people are reporting it. mean, suicide, right? That's a pretty obvious one, but depression and anxiety. But yeah, there's just, there's something that's happening. I think that, these numbers that feel overwhelming for men right now in their 20s and 30s that we can really that, I don't know, just speak to a larger narrative that you're right, that is across generations, but that is really true for those who are in it right now, that we can say, "Hey, you can either embrace this, lean into it, be forged by it, or you could just constantly avoid it and keep medicating it or with not just drugs, but alcohol, video games, TV, Netflix,
Yeah.
pornography, whatever, right?"
Well, and the access to that stuff now is,
Oh, beyond, yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
you pull it up
Yeah.
on your phone in 2 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. Our dads, it was the magazine under the mattress
Right,
kinda thing,
right, right,
right? Yeah.
right, and now it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
You know, you can hardly watch a show now without some crazy scene happening within
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
5 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really interesting, but I think so. I guess the one that resonated the most with me was, um, because I have an amazing father, was, the fatherlessness part of it, because, to be honest, it's almost like when you're in your 20s. I mean, I had multiple times in my 20s where I would go to I had somebody to go to in my
Yeah.
dad to be like, "Hey, you know, going through this hard thing with a job or with a relationship or whatever," and he could give me guidance. And one thing that I think men are good at, um, older men with wisdom, um, are shining light on, or at least encouraging, like, "Hey, yeah, it's like exactly like you're saying. Hey, this is hard.
Mhm.
Um, this is how you go through it, not around it.
Yeah.
You know, this is, hey, I went through the same thing you went through." You know what I mean? Or something similar. So then you have the feeling of like, okay, I'm not alone here.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not the first one to go through this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
but if you don't have that,
Mhm.
then I could totally see how I would have slipped into the, well, this is unique to me, and this is so unique to me. Nobody else is dealing with this but me.
Mhm.
Um, and then there's just that feeling of isolation that probably comes with that, that
Yeah.
is causing the suicide and the anxiety and depression and all those things. And then on top of that, like you said, we have so many ways that our brain tells us that this is how you medicate that.
Yeah.
Go to this website and look at this video.
Yeah.
It'll make you feel better for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
it
I mean?
does.
And it does, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and it does,
But
and
just for 5 minutes.
right, right, exactly. Or just go
There's
pig
a whole
out.
'nother feeling that comes on that you're like, "Oh, no."
Right, yeah, exactly. Or go pig out on this show,
Mm.
um,
Food.
or food.
Man,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
I do the food thing, man.
Yeah.
Definitely
Found
do
it.
the food
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
This cinnamon toast crunch will make you feel better,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which then just makes you feel miserable, you know,
Mhm.
because you're,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, one, yeah, but also realizing there is literally nothing nutritious in it.
No, no.
It's like, and it's actually none of it has God made in there, so it's like even worse.
Right.
Um,
Well, there's probably 1 gram of protein.
right, right,
The milk.
yeah,
Milk is good.
right. But it's like, but the protein's probably made in some lab. It's not actually coming from an animal.
Listen, I'm just telling you how that is. Um,
But no, I mean, this is so. I would say the narrative that was probably so. If even if you did have a father in the home, the narrative was okay. Yes, life's hard right now for you. That's just the way it is. You just got to white knuckle it and figure it out. And that there was like that's how I had to deal with it. That's that language. So men, it's like wow, that sometimes for a lot of men, that's just hasn't really worked. There's some men that's like that's exactly what I need to hear. I'm just gonna go do it. Go figure it out.
yeah,
You know, I would say a lot of those guys lead to burnout.
yeah,
Midlife crisis, all that. But I think there is something too, like having a man's like, yes, life in your 20s is hard. I know what you feel. I've been where you are. Here's how to navigate it. I think that's what when we talk about men are forged. That is the community or what we're trying to encourage is like, how do you get somebody alongside you? That's it's been there before, navigates with you. You know, uh, I think it always comes with the verse, John 15. It's like Jesus says, to your advantage that I leave because my advocate is coming. That's where the Holy Spirit comes. And when you got a man who's being guided by the Holy Spirit that comes alongside you and helps you hear, that voice, that stillness, that leading, that impression on your heart to follow what he is saying, because he only speaks on behalf of the Father, right? Anyway, that's getting into some theological there.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like there's been a narrative from generations before to ours of like, yeah, it's just part of it. You have to figure it out. And most people our age's response has been a overreaction to it of, well, guess what? It's different than what you did. You didn't have the hardship that I have. And so therefore, because it's different, I don't have to listen to you. Or I get angry that you say that to me. So you can either get angry or you wallow. And I say there's probably a narrative and a justification for both right now, where I think I've talked about many times, but there's a third option. And that's where you're trying to create, I love being at the center here in Birmingham is trying to create that third option. What we're doing here in Men Are Forged and build that community and really encourage men, whether they're going through in their 20s or in their 40s and 50s, and they want to help somebody in their 20s, is like, this is what they need to hear. This is what they need someone to come alongside them. There's a permissional thing of like, oh, I see you where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guess what? Here are a couple things you need to work on in the midst of this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I met with a guy yesterday, and it's like the language of, I feel behind. He's 26. You ain't behind. Because he's not getting married, or he doesn't have a serious girlfriend, or he's in debt more than his other friends are, or he's or living at home and doesn't have his own place. All that stuff at 26, you can feel the weight of the world, and you're like, man, you're killing it. You've got a good job. You're getting a promotion. You're taking care. He's working out 5 days a week. He's building a solid friend group and community. But it's like it's like he's feeling this lack of confidence because he's still living at home, and but and he's not making enough to get himself completely out of debt right now. You're like, it's like, man, there is something to when the circumstances are telling me the opposite of how I should feel, that then when confidence then rises despite of that's where true confidence that lasts the rest of our life comes from, when the circumstances are telling us something different than how we should feel.
Yeah.
That come against come against that we should feel confident in ourselves and who we are, where Christ has us. And that's where I think the language of men are forged. We should have confidence that we're going through something hard because we're being built for something. And we shouldn't look at our circumstances and go, well, I just feel behind, or I feel I'm trying to think the wording. I feel less than. That's the wording I was looking for. Less than. Or I feel don't feel successful. I don't feel like I can ask a girl out. I don't feel like I can go for this promotion because I'm just, I'm going through all this. It's like, no, those are things that are making you confident when you choose to hit those head on versus the opposite. Anyway, you called me on a rant, but
What do you think? Do you think guys are in their 20s and 30s? Are they afraid to say this out loud to somebody?
Yeah.
And so do you think,
terrified.
why do you think that is?
Terrified. Well, I mean, one is it's going back to this internal thing, that this insecurity, this vulnerability of like, if I admit weakness, therefore I am weak. Which we know is, we can say this from a biblical standpoint. It's like, yeah, when you're weak, then you are strong, right? That's when, that's a Bible verse. That comes from the words of Jesus and Paul. So, when I'm weak, therefore, my power made perfect in weakness. That's when and therefore, when we say that out loud, we're inviting God, we're inviting others to pull from their strength. And actually, therefore, when I'm weak, then I'm strong. But that vulnerability, that scare, that insecurity of admitting I'm weak because we've been ingrained in something, whether it's our, football coach or whatever father figure in our life says that we gotta fake it till we make it. We gotta look the part. We gotta look this certain way or we're not that. When really, like, everybody's been there, that place where they're weak, they need others, they need strength. It's like the whole, man on an island thing, "I did this all by myself," is such a lie. Anybody who says that is lying to themselves. Somebody gave you a break, somebody paid for your services, somebody, like, there's always we are no man is an island. It's just not possible. So, but we all think that we live in that mindset of like, I got to come be that self-sustaining, and to admit weakness that I'm not moving towards that or don't feel like I'm moving towards that is to admit that I will never become that.
Hmm.
And that insecurity is dragging men down into why all these numbers are going up. Anxiety, higher depression, higher addiction rates, you know, all the above, right? Isolation, we're not dating as much because we don't feel as confident, you know? We're we're not getting married, we're not having kids. Well, that was another I didn't even think about it. The birth rate is below 2 for the first time in a long time. Think about that. We're dying off. I mean, one, because we're living in a culture that doesn't promote the family unit, you know? That and the value of that when that's the only way that really values really get instilled in people, right? But, that's just me.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah, I get that.
So
No, yeah, it's a tough subject. It's almost there's a we always talk about the balance here. So there's a balance in what we're saying, I think, or maybe I'll phrase it as a question, where you can help me kind of dissect this a little bit. So yes, there is value in, um, hey, I understand this is what you're going through. There's value in figuring out how to ways to get through it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you white knuckle and you just
yeah.
try to figure it out. What's the difference there? So
Yeah.
do you understand what I'm asking? So there is value. I'm just thinking about like when a lot of people probably know. So I've got a guy. His name's Khalifa Keith. He plays football. He's in college, and my wife and I have really he's really become part of our family. And I find myself he calls me every day, and it's being a college athlete is hard, and it's man, the amount of time you have to spend in the facility and doing all these things and working out. They're working out twice a day right now. He's having to learn the playbook. He's having to do his school stuff. He's having to do
Yeah.
all these different things. He's got a girlfriend that is in Tennessee and he's in Tuscaloosa. It's just
Yeah.
all these different things. And so sometimes, you can probably coach me on this. Sometimes it's like, hey man, get it done.
Yeah, just do it.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, hey man, you're in an amazing spot.
Yeah.
Get it done. When you don't want to do something, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, just get it done. So we've got that. And I feel like that's true. And it certainly resonates. It works with him.
Yeah.
So it may not be true for everybody, but still, but there's this other piece that you're kind of talking about where it's, acknowledging, yes, it's hard. I guess sometimes I'm just like,
Yeah.
with guys that I talk to, not even just Khalifa, it's like, it does feel like sometimes if you acknowledge, hey man, yes, it is hard, or yes, you're going through something difficult. In my mind, and this has probably been ingrained in me, you're almost in a way giving them permission to like
Yeah.
be like, I'm kind of a victim here.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the balance on that? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's going back to what we've talked about and that you have really encouraged guys who listen to this. It's like you gotta just do with other people. And I think
you got to do it with other people.
that's the plain way of putting it, right? Because the wallowing, the victimhood is isolation, which I have been terrible at that. I'll raise my hand. I can't remember which episode I talked a little bit about that of like just putting your head down and kind of like don't engage because of fear. If I do engage and I fail, then I'm a failure, right? But then there's the white knuckling and just putting your head down and then you look up and you're like, I have no joy from any of that. If I didn't look around and smell the roses kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
And so I think that's where, yeah, that third option. I can remember a time when I was like 28, 29, had a mentor in my life I was meeting with on a regular basis, and what kept coming up was like trying to deal with a long-term relationship, a relationship I wanted to happen that was long distance. And and he eventually was just like, I just can't keep talking about this. You're like, man, that kind of sucks. But here's somebody you can talk to with it that would be great to talk to, that that I think you would be. It's like, oh, he just basically pointed me to somebody else. And not that way he wasn't interested in me on what happened. It was just he couldn't be the person to really talk to me about
Yeah.
that struggle.
Yeah.
And I think maybe example for Khalifa is just like, okay, who can you find there that's what's been the big pain point here? Is it school? Um, is it just getting up every day and going? Like, who can come alongside you and maybe come wake you up, and who can you ask to come get you every day and go to workouts? Or is there a tutor there that you can talk with school, or a teammate that's really been really good at that class and you just need to be around them more and
Yeah.
see how they take notes or something, stuff like that. That's where, but that's a vulnerability. I mean, maybe that's the point that we've they've really talked about in the last 10, 15 years with men. How do we see vulnerability as a good thing? Not just being transparent, because transparent's about being the information. Vulnerability is about sharing the heart. Wow, why am I struggling? The pain I'm feeling. Yeah.
It's almost it's vulnerability without the victimhood. So
I need
it's
help because victimhood you want to stay in that. You want to stay in that
right,
place of just
right.
wallowing.
Well, it kinda gives you victimhood in a way kinda gives you permission to sit back and not really try and change anything because it's just unique to you.
Uh, of a false sense of power that you get from victimhood, that
Yeah.
I have control over the wallowing, and therefore I don't want to move out of victimhood because this is giving me some level of comfort. But
Yeah.
you say the same,
Yeah.
where fighting somebody in and being vulnerable is going, hey, I have this pain point in my life. I'd love your help
Yeah.
if you're able,
So the core
because you're
of
wanting to get better.
yeah, so the core of the vulnerability is really the only action item within that is to ask for help. If you're being vulnerable about something to somebody,
Yeah.
you're essentially inviting them in to help you,
Yes.
which is what I think a lot of guys
Yeah.
struggle with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Because
even you think about even at work, like I'm sure we've all had that negative experience where we have asked for help and we got shot down or we got belittled or we got dismissed. And so most of us in our young minds, especially before 25, when it's fully developed, is going, well, I'm not doing that again. I guess I got to figure this out on my own. But stepping over that fear, because I mean, I don't know if I want to go down this, but there's just, this is very true of me, and I imagine there are lots of guys out there. We have voices from the past that tell us, that are like narrating our life, and I would say a lot of them aren't very good. They're either old friends, could have been a father figure in your life, a coach, where you just feel their voice on certain action you're doing. Like, why are you doing that? Don't That's stupid. Why you do like that? Those voices are in our head, and maybe it's our own internal voice, but when we keep hearing that narrative, and it keeps us from pulling away from others and not engaging. And learning to put those voices to bed and allowing that internal voice, your own voice, as well as the voice of really Jesus. That's why we need to read the Bible. I'll say that. That's one of the main reasons why we need to read the Bible, is we need God's voice to rise up in us, to be stronger, to speak over those voices, till we have a counterbalance. For every, Newton's third law, for every action, there's a reaction. Like, we need that action that says, when one says we're stupid or we're not qualified, or you'll look weak and a failure if you go do this, by admitting this or doing that, asking for help. We need that other voice of like, no, this is how you grow. This is how you become a man. This is how you get, this is how you solve this problem.
Yeah. So what I struggle with, well, as we kind of flesh this out more about, and again, we're talking about the current situation with guys in their 20s and 30s. And I think this is probably valuable in some way sometimes, and then it's not valuable in other ways, maybe depending on who you're talking to or who you're trying to help in that moment. But I do feel like there are times where, so maybe we can debate this.
Okay.
So I do feel like there are times, and we were just talking to my boss, Michael, about this in here a second ago, where it's like, hey man, I don't see you're saying you have this issue, let's call it at work.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or let's call it with a relationship. I'm not seeing the effort on your part to try to improve this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, well, it's hard. It's doing all these things. I can't, I'm not able to perform well in this job because, I for whatever reason. But if you don't see the effort side, and maybe the effort side we're talking about is like the asking for help and being vulnerable. But it's like, hey man, sometimes I'll just say it the way I'm thinking it. Sometimes you need to work harder.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes with guys in their 20s and 30s, it almost feels like, especially where we're from, there may be almost a sense of entitlement in a way. And then guys that aren't from where we're from, it's kind of the same thing. Maybe it's not entitlement, but it's laziness. I think there's a lot more laziness probably for guys in their 20s and 30s now. And it's more like, hey, well, I'm here working, so like that should be good enough. And it's like, well, no, you got to work harder. You have to really commit yourself to, doing a good job for you and for the company, or for you and your family, whatever that thing is. So I think I've struggled with like I understand things are harder now, absolutely. And we all feel that. Like it's certainly, I mean, you go to Publix right now, you're not walking out without spending $150.
Oh yeah.
I mean, especially if a kid, I mean,
if you're getting everything your wife wants.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And then you'll look up on Wednesday night and be like, where'd all the food go? Did we just spend all this money on this food? So I get that. And then with interest rates, I get that too. Like if we, I just told you, if we refinanced our house right now, we couldn't afford our house.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I get all that.
Yeah.
I just do think that like, man, I just wish that sometimes, I just wish sometimes these guys would just like, almost, I guess in a way, I almost feel the value in the white knuckling sometimes. It's like, hey, let me work harder and see what happens.
Well, so I would say sometimes is the white knuckling is those people need to ask for help too, because sometimes they need clarity on what they're white knuckling towards.
Well, that was me.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you could, I'll just grind this out and get this done. And then I look up, a week later and my boss was like, why are you working at that so much? Like I didn't, that's, you're doing it wrong too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got my head down and I just was getting it done. I'm like, well, both sides both mindsets need input, need clarity, like where we're heading. Okay. I'm with you. I'm 100% with you on that. That sometimes like, hey, we just probably need to, especially in your 20s, need to figure out how to work hard or go get those bumps and bruises. I mean, I think this is what I always come back to this identity piece. This is why we got to figure out who we are in Jesus. Like more than anything, we have to have that going back to the voices thing. Like we have to have his voice the loudest in our life. Because when we know, this is what biology is starting to tell us, that the most healthy and successful adults in life are the ones that grew up in a loving household, that there was a high level of emotional regulation and attention to the important things in life, because they go in the world and they live from a place of knowing that they're loved. They're not going out to do things to be loved.
Oh, interesting.
So when you know you are loved, you can take feedback and go, oh, I'm not living and dying. My identity is not living and dying off of what you have to say.
Okay.
that I can go in, I can white knuckle it and find out, a week or two down the road, like, oh, I was doing it wrong. Or I can go, man, I don't know what to do. I can ask for help. I'm like, I kind of feel hamstrung of how to do this job well. Maybe I should go talk to somebody and go, oh. And then if they give me some really bad advice or they beat me up or even yell at me, I can go, that didn't feel great, but probably some truth to what he's saying.
Yeah.
He or she.
Yeah.
I've been yelled at before and been chewed out, and you kind of go, okay, but what are they really trying to say? Oh, they want me to do this job differently. And that's the only way they know how to communicate. Granted, does that person probably need some counseling and help of how to talk to people? Yeah. At the same time, sometimes we can discern, we can see the forest through the trees when that part of us, that identity and who we are in Jesus is settled. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is the skill set I have, the personality I am that makes me, I know that allows me to thrive. And so therefore I can get help in those areas. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And that part doesn't come alone either.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, that's a good point. And to gets back to the original part of the conversation. If you don't have that father figure in your life to then know I am already accepted by this, and let's be honest, it's men. Like as men, we need men in our life to know I'm accepted by this man, whether it's your biological father or whoever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
So that when he does correct me, because we all need that, trust me, I'll need it in the next 5 minutes, that I'm still loved, I'm still accepted, I'm still doing the right thing. So that makes sense. I think you can say, like I can say to Khalifa, hey man, you got to work harder.
Yeah.
Like to me, it doesn't feel like you're working harder. And to be clear, he's working really hard right now. I'm not saying there's no issue with Khalifa. Now, certainly we've had issues in the past couple of years, but like very small issues even at that. But like he knows that I love him. He knows that I accept him.
Yeah.
He can, I'm not going to betray him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave him. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. And so it kind of gives me freedom to say those things.
Yeah.
Like you or my dad or Michael or whoever else, I know I'm accepted by you, so it allows me to then be vulnerable with you in a way.
Yeah.
And that vulnerability piece, I think, is that kind of the core of what guys right now in their 20s and 30s are missing, I guess?
So this is what, all right, if we're talking about the virtue or the value of being loved, knowing you're loved, like that, I think in everybody's psyche and person needs to know that, and that should set you free. But in some ways, that's not necessarily the end point, even in this life, right? That because I know I'm loved, then I can become a very highly trusted person. So that's the next step that we're talking about here. That, okay, when I take feedback, that then I can be vulnerable, and then I can gain trust with those that I admire and value in a loving, healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Because that's where we're getting to the point to your original question of you got to do the work. Because therefore, like, okay, now that I'm loved, how do I move to being highly valued and trusted? And I think that's what a lot of men that are probably listening are wanting. Like, at the end of the day, like, there's probably some unsettledness of knowing that I'm truly loved and accepted. But I think ultimately we're trying to, like, how am I? I want to be a highly valued and trusted person in people around me. It's like, okay, that's when they're like, okay, from love, not for it, but from it, I then do the work, do show up, I do grind, I do, and therefore, ask for help. Because I would prone to be more trusting in someone if they're willing to go, hey, I'm trying to figure this out. Can you help me kind of just give me some direction in how to do this better? Because I'm not quite getting it. Much higher level versus someone who worked on something off on their own for a month, and all of a sudden, like, the the flame turned into a forest fire kind of thing, you know? It's like, I tried to put this out by myself and I couldn't do it. And now the forest is burning down.
Yeah.
You know, that person I don't trust as much.
Yeah, and if you've surrounded yourself with men like that,
Mm-hmm.
man, talk about like activating like I've got guys in my life that are leading businesses and doing all these things, and like, man, it's been my experience that when you ask for help,
Yeah.
you'll find that these high performing guys that you want to be like
Mm-hmm.
from their family lives, you can tell like Christian men who
Mm-hmm.
that you aspire to be like, man, they will drop everything to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had an experience where I'm like, um, hey, can you help? Can you give me some guidance on something? And the
Yeah.
person's not like squared in, focused on you. People love doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One,
Or good people love doing
yeah,
that,
I
I
would say
guess.
people that like know that I have a lot to give and someone asks for it, here. And also I think it is in the manner which you're talking about. I think it's coming from a place, people can sense that. It's like, yeah, I think it is the difference between like the victimhood mindset of like, woe is me, I just need you to give me a chance kind of mindset versus like, hey, I'm doing this and I need your addition to really kick it, to get it going, to really make it actually turn into something. And I think people can sense that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where, more of my life, I've started like valuing strong opinions because it's like, I don't have to take everything they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't have to take it all. I could take the parts that make the most sense to me because I'm already moving towards something. I don't have to live and die off what they say
Yeah.
and get their acceptance from by doing what they said. I'm already at that place, you know? So it really does free you up to actually work in a place that from a more productive standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting you say that too, because I'm thinking of two people that I know who both lead
Yeah.
businesses whose approach, both highly successful people that I want to be like, not just from a business standpoint, but their families. I mean, their kids are obsessed with them. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they've got it. And totally different approaches.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, totally different. One is like hey, I'm going to put my metrics in front of you. I'm going to help you out along the way. But if you don't make it, you don't make it.
Yeah.
You know, and speaking in business terms, not family,
Right. Yeah.
obviously. And then the other one's like,
Mm.
uh, let's get to know the person. Let's kind of figure out the nuance to this in a way to make it work. Both seem true, just totally different.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of cool too. I mean, you
Yeah.
have different approaches that probably work in that way. Um, so I guess to bring it full circle in what we're saying, like, so that's what we're missing right now. The millennials and Gen Zs,
Yeah.
we're missing that,
Yeah. Well,
kind of the truth serum of it,
yeah.
like somebody to help guide.
Yeah, I would say, I heard somebody speak, it was probably 8, 9 years ago, a guy who was kind of consulting older generations on the millennial generation. And he's like, yeah, right now we're learning from our peers. And it's like, and that's just not good. So therefore what ends up happening, we end up either becoming entitled or we wallow, right? You just live in that circle and we need input from a generation above us. And so pursuing that or even just people a little bit older than us who we admire some of their qualities. Yeah, so I would say that piece is how do you create that more in your life? There are people that are it's wild to me. I talk to some people that just do it naturally. It's like, oh yeah, I got a group of 8 to 10 guys that I get business advice from on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. Or yeah, my friends, we get together and we talk, we share about the struggles and pains and give great advice and input, And then there's some people it's like, I just got nobody to talk to about this. It's really wild and then like just some of it. Yeah, how it comes in yeah, it's interesting. But I think that is a missing piece. Where can I find a place where I feel known and loved, but also challenged? I think that's probably the challenge of every parent. How do I become the safe place for my child to land, but also a catalyst in their life
Mhm.
towards their growth and success?
Mhm.
I feel like that's probably every parent probably feels that tension.
Oh, yeah.
all the time. And some probably have leaned one way or the other, and gone one or the other has led to probably stuff that they don't love.
Yeah.
Do you know who Cam Haynes is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's a professional. I think he's a professional bow hunter,
yeah, that's right.
and
Okay.
he's a good friends with Joe Rogan. Well, they've got a great episode where they went elk hunting, and anyway, but he admitted recently, it's like, "I treated my sons like soldiers and, when I raised them, and I completely regret it." So he wanted to be the
Wow.
catalyst for his son's success. Like, "You need to be waking up 5 a.m., working out, studying, doing." And he said a lot of ways on the surface, it worked out. You know, they're doing really well in life, and they're successful, and there's not too many issues in our relationship right now as them as adult men, but, like, I look back, I'm like, they needed to be sons before they were soldiers,
Mm.
So, like, that tension and finding both, I think, in your life is good. I think it's hard to find both in male relationships because some people we do just need almost like, I hate to compartmentalize because so much of us were holistic beings, but sometimes it's like, "Oh, yeah, I need this group or this get advice from this man for my career, for business advice, whatever, and I need this one to be more of a, like, help me in my family and
Mhm.
help me become a better father and husband," and, or this one's more spiritual, I think sometimes, I think in the Western world, we can completely silo and isolate those things too much, but then I think sometimes when it comes to finding mentors and finding other men to come alongside us, we need maybe sometimes to categorize it like that. So I think that maybe that is the missing piece, and we're hoping at Men Forge we do this more. We do this here at the Center for Executive Leadership. We have men's groups throughout the week. Um, but yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, find somebody to struggle alongside with, right? In a
Yeah,
way.
either someone who has been there before or someone that's going through as well that doesn't wanna stay stuck in it.
Mhm.
I think that's the kind of the key part of it. It's like, that's not gonna white knuckle their way out of it, but they're also not gonna sit there and wallow. It's like, how do I find somebody that's like, "Hey, I wanna acknowledge." See, the problem with white knuckling is you're not acknowledging the pain point. So, therefore, you're not naming and claiming the problem. You're just kind of putting blinders on, like,
Okay.
you know, "Hear and see no evil. It's not happening. I'm just grinding away," and then you look up, and
It's just life.
it's just life, right? Just the way it is,
Yeah.
you know? So that I would say that's the issue with sometimes white knuckling, but, like, finding how to actually go, "All right, I'm gonna name it and claim it, but I'm not wallowing it," and actually find a solution and
Yeah.
go figure it out,
Yeah.
And sometimes that's can be a long process. I mean, I just talked this morning about Galatians, like, from Paul's conversion to him writing his first letter is 14 years. I mean, it's just like,
Mm.
he spent 3 years off in the Arabian desert by himself. 3 years after his conversion, just figuring all this out.
Yeah.
"Oh, I used to kill all these people, and now I'm one of them,
Yeah.
and now I wanna lead them to Jesus," right?
Yeah.
So, there's just these things in life that it takes time, but there is if we're willing to step alongside people, you know, one, we'll realize we have a lot more to give, but two, therefore we have more to receive. Those who give receive, right? That's a biblical principle. So, but we got to be willing to open ourselves, and that is tough for men to step across that. You know, I mean, I remember when I first got into this line of work 11 years ago, it was a lot of first and second meetings with guys, lunches, coffees. You could feel the wall,
Mm.
the me, and that's where I started really focus on how I ask questions because, like, man, you could just feel the pulling back, the squirming, "Hey, let's keep this surface level, dude. I've never learned how to talk to a guy beyond just talking about football
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
in work." Like, yeah, and it's interesting. I just even when I first moved back here and just from being back in Southern culture, it was funny just even sitting at a golf tournament during a rain delay, listening to some guys, and it's like, "Oh, I'm just around like 5 or 6 monologues." And not that, I love a good storyteller, but there is something too that is a little protective for some guys where, like, I'm not really interested in
Yeah.
finding out who you are and getting to
Yeah.
know you better. I just wanna talk. And then there's a level of, like, protection in that it's like, hey, how do I actually just let people in? And actually, I might actually learn something if I actually ask people questions or actually just listen and not just wait for my turn to open my mouth.
Absolutely.
But there like I was one of those people, like, just, hey, there's some safety in just like waiting for my turn to just run my mouth.
Well, and in my experience too, I remember having to get over that that hump of like asking for help. Like it's like the first time you do it is really hard,
Yeah.
but then every time after that it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you usually have such a positive experience, especially if you're doing it with somebody that really understands, like that first time asking for help, it's kind of like the dam breaks, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that felt good.
That wasn't as insanely hard as I thought.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. You just again, more shameless plugs. I'll say it this way. I don't know where I would be if I didn't first ask for that help.
Yeah.
Maybe 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
With you or with anybody really. Like I've got people that I get advice from and stuff like that, and you can always feel kind of nervous when you're like, okay, I'm going to go to this person for advice and I'm going to ask for advice. So like I would just leave people to be like, hey, call them up, do whatever you want to do, coffee, lunch, whatever. And then just say, hey, can I ask you for some guidance on something? And just see how they respond.
Yeah.
And you'll see them light up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we love doing that. Like as men, we love giving other guys advice and helping mentor and doing these things. I mean, I really do think that's like almost ingrained in us. Like if there's a younger guy coming to ask me for help, you kind of feel like, oh man, of course, dude, I'll do anything for you. You know what I mean? And then on the other side, as the guy asking for the advice, you see that response and you have that positive experience. And that really equips you in the future to be like, okay, I'm kind of giving myself permission to do this more. So I would just encourage people, just do it the first time.
Yeah.
If you're having that.
Don't
that,
expect it. That's another thing that we've talked about. Like sometimes we go into those things and we expect a certain result and therefore we're disappointed.
Yeah.
In those testing periods, we can start raising our expectation when we build a relationship. There's no doubt about that. But the first time, like, no expectations. Like you're just putting it on the table and seeing what happens.
And you may not fix it right away.
Yeah, or he could.
I mean, it could be mentoring you. Okay, this may be a process, or this may take a while for you to figure out.
Yeah. But I mean, I always come back to the C.S. Lewis line: like, you find a friend for life when you are vulnerable and you get your response is, "You too."
Yeah, that's right.
I think that has been in my life water in a desert when that happens. When you're like, "Oh, yeah, no big deal." Nah, that's Bo. You're like, hey, I hear you. Been there. That has been water in the desert for me in my life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we all need that to some degree. No man is an island. I mean, that's a phrase that keeps coming up. That was a big thing, probably our dad's generation up until even millennials. I don't think Gen Zers are doing that as much, but I think there was that mindset. We got to kind of be an island before we're anything else. You're like, not really. The men that are standing high right now, they're standing on shoulders of a lot of others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if they don't want to admit it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So, I think that's it. You got anything else, Bo?
No, that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good.
This was a live coaching session for me. Work harder, do more,
do more, work,
do better.
Work.
You're having issues, do better.
That's right, do better. It's like, okay, my thought is, do better at what?
I don't know, figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I don't. Hey guys, Cartwright here. Excited about what we're doing in Men Are Forged. If you want to participate in one of our episodes, please send in a question. We want this podcast to answer the questions you're asking. In the description, click that link. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.